All right, welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're cracking open the pages of some of the most ancient, widely read, and honestly, intensely debated texts in all of human history. We're taking an impartial, documentary-style look at the biblical source material, specifically zeroing in on its most awe-inspiring, unexplained, and, frankly, bizarre elements. We're talking about texts that literally shaped entire civilizations, yet hiding right there in plain sight are accounts of mythological scale, completely unexplainable phenomena, and beings that totally defy modern logic. Right out of the gate, the source material hits us with a massive mystery. We're talking about Kak Bi'an Ve Nephilim, the mysteries of the Nephilim. So where exactly did they come from? The texts deliberately leave this shrouded in massive debate. Were they the unholy offspring of fallen angels and human women, or were they simply this bloodthirsty, ancient warrior race? This ambiguity really shatters any preconceived notions you might have about these texts. And honestly, it serves as the absolute perfect entry point into a world where the line between the physical and the supernatural is just constantly blurred. And the Nephilim are just the tip of the iceberg here. As we scan the sources, we're going to uncover a whole list of bizarre mysteries. The Nephilim themselves, demons in spiritual warfare, unicorns, the Antichrist dilemma, and the enigmatic angel of the Lord. These aren't just background details. They are totally central features of the narrative.
So, let's dive into part 1, the origins of humanity.
It all kicks off with arguably one of the most famous quotes in human history. The text states that a divine spirit hovered over the dark abyss of the waters, and God spoke, "Let there be light." And there was light. What's absolutely fascinating here is the sheer mechanism of creation. It's creation through spoken word alone. Boom. It immediately establishes that in this narrative universe, physical reality is entirely subservient to a supernatural voice. It establishes divine authority over physical limitations and sets the foundation for literally every single anomaly that we're going to see next.
So the crucial point is how this supernatural foundation actually affects humanity itself. Just look at this timeline, drawn directly from the text genealogies right after the Great Flood. We see Arpachshad, born just 2 years post-flood, but look at these lifespans. Shem lives 500 years, Eber lives 430 years, Ru makes it to 207, and Serug lives 200 years. We are looking at a completely mythological scale of early humanity. And the text presents these centuries-long lifespans not as some poetic metaphor, but as absolute recorded data points of an ancient world that just operated under entirely different biological rules.
Which brings us to part 2, the era of giants. As humanity progresses in the narrative, the anomaly of those Nephilim we talked about culminates on the battlefield. Let's ground this myth in some concrete data provided by the text. 3. That is the number of meters. The sources describe the Philistine champion, Goliath of Gath, who is very often linked to those ancient giant bloodlines as being roughly 3 meters tall. Just imagine standing in front of a guy who is essentially a story and a half high. This isn't just a tall soldier. This is a terrifying physical manifestation of those ancient giants.
And to really emphasize the visceral, terrifying reality of the text here, look at this number, 50. Goliath wasn't just impossibly tall, he was impossibly strong. The text specifically notes that his scale-like bronze armor alone weighed a staggering 50 kilograms. That is over 110 pounds of solid metal worn just on his torso, swinging and moving around in combat. It's almost unbelievable.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core dynamic of these texts. We've got Goliath on one side, 50 kilograms of bronze armor, wielding a massive spear topped with a 6-kilogram iron head. And on the other side, we have the young Israelite, David. His weapon? A simple shepherd's sling and a stone he pulled from a pouch. No armor, no sword. The text builds this incredible tension here, but it does so to prove a point. In this narrative, overwhelming physical power and giant stature are absolutely useless against someone backed by the supernatural. David's simple stone brings the giant crashing face first right into the dirt.
Moving on to part 3, marks of the supernatural.
Now I want you to contrast that loud, bloody battlefield with this incredibly quiet, holy moment. Moses is way out in the wilderness, and he sees a bush completely engulfed in flames. But miraculously, the leaves aren't turning to ash. The wood isn't being consumed at all. From that impossible fire, a voice actually speaks, identifying itself simply as, "I am who I am," or the eternal existing one. It's this profound moment where the supernatural quietly but absolutely overrides the natural world.
What's really interesting about the fall of Jericho is how the text almost gamifies historical warfare. Look at the highly specific, ritualistic steps commanded for the Israelites to conquer this massive fortress city. Step 1. March around the city once a day for 6 days, in total silence. Step 2. On the 7th day, march around it 7 times. And Step 3. The priests blow the horns, the people let out a massive shout, and those impenetrable walls literally collapse straight into the ground. It's essentially a precise, supernatural formula disguised as a military tactic.
And we see this exact same theme of supernatural math pop up later in the New Testament. Look at this specific numerical contrast. The resources? A meager 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. The outcome? Jesus miraculously feeds a crowd of over 5,000 hungry people. And the text specifically makes a point to note that they even gathered up baskets of leftovers. It perfectly illustrates how the supernatural operates on a completely different economy of scale, literally creating massive abundance out of practically nothing at all.
And that leads us right into part 4, the spiritual world.
The number 40. According to the texts, right after his baptism, Jesus is led out into the harsh, isolated, and totally unforgiving desert. And for 40 days and 40 nights, he fasts. I mean, he is physically exhausted, pushed to the absolute limits of human endurance. And it's exactly in this weakened physical state that the supernatural warfare reaches its absolute peak, as he is directly confronted and tempted by Satan himself.
And this spiritual warfare often violently bleeds over into the physical world. The sources recount this truly chilling and dramatic moment when Jesus confronts a man possessed by a multitude of demons who actually call themselves Legion. Knowing they're totally defeated by divine authority, the demons actually beg Jesus for a compromise. They plead, "Send us among the pigs, allow us to go into them." Jesus permits it, and the entire herd of livestock just rushes off a cliff. It is such a stark, eerie reminder from the text of these unseen entities desperately trying to maintain some sort of foothold in the physical realm.
So, what's the crucial point to take away from all these sources? Well, it's this. Whether we're looking at the ancient mysteries of the giant Nephilim, the unbelievable lifespans of those early patriarchs, the walls of Jericho falling to a shout, or a legion of demons begging for mercy, the text is telling one cohesive story. It's imparting the idea that the physical world you can touch and see, it's really just a temporary stage. The true reality, according to these ancient texts, is a richly detailed, powerful, and unseen supernatural universe operating right beneath the surface.
We've explored giants, impossible miracles, and brutal spiritual warfare today. But honestly, this is only a fraction of what's actually recorded. It leaves us with a pretty provocative thought. What unknown mysteries do these ancient texts still hide? What other supernatural anomalies are just waiting to be uncovered by the focused learner? I highly encourage you to go look at the source material yourself. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the mysteries.